sick right now. I would consider myself to be actually pretty good at Fire Emblem 8. I beat the game probably at least 15 times with several different challenge runs. And one of the challenge runs was Erica only. That was one of the harder ones I've done because I did do it on difficult mode. Uh, but this guy right here has done it with Erica and Ephraim on difficult mode. And I'm just gonna see what he did right, what he did wrong. Just show you pointers on Fire Emblem 8 challenge runs, because I think I am generally pretty good at this.
Hello everyone, my name is Halvey. In this video we're going to be seeing if it's possible to beat Fire Emblem the Sacred Stones using just Erica and Ephraim. I'm playing this on difficult mode to get the most challenge out of this. As for the rules...
Okay, no, that's not what you want to do on Prologue. So, Prologue is always, no matter what you're doing, if you're using Erica, you're to go up one space the first turn. Because then the first fighter can reach her, the second fighter cannot. Then on the second turn, you move over there, like to the top and left of the forest. Then the fighter will attack you from the right of the forest, or from the over the forest. And then on the third turn, you can move Erica to the forest so that she has forest advantage over the fighter. So she has, the protection. Otherwise, you will pretty much always be either fighting. Neither of you are on forest, or the boss is on forest, and you want neither of those things to happen when you can very easily have Erica on the forest. And also, if you do it with the way he's doing right now, you might have to use 2 vulnerary uses, whereas if you move to the forest, you probably will only need 1, because, worst hit chances.
We're just going to say that only Erica and Ephraim are the only ones who are going to be damaging and defeating enemies. You'll see me move around other units when...
See there, now he's on the forest, and he has to use a vulnerary, that's normal. But now the fighter is going to move over here and attack Erica, and neither of them are going to have any extra avoid or defense.
They're like force deployed on maps just to get them out of the way. This first prologue, there's not much to say. It's kind of like RNG. I think Erica just needs to dodge like one of those attacks from one of those first...
Okay, this one's also biased. I'm not entirely sure what exactly the best way to position your units is in Chapter 1. I like to put Erica as much to the top and left as she can go, because this soldier up here by the fighter, he does not attack any of your units on enemy phase unless he can get a kill. So you don't have to suffer weapon triangle disadvantage generally unless you want to. But I usually attack with Franz if I'm playing normally, and if I'm playing with only Erica, then it doesn't really matter. But you want to be able to reach the fort on the second turn. I get that you want the extra avoid from the house, but I think it's important to reach the fort on the second turn, because generally when I'm only using Erica, I want to stay there for the whole map, and it's not a really big deal, to be honest. There are a lot of different ways to go at this map when it comes to positioning Erica, but I just like to go to the fort.
First 2 fighters, then you can just heal her up with a vulnerary, and it's simple enough. Then Chapter 1, I just moved Seth out of the way along with Gilliam and Franz just to get them out of the way, and then Erica can just fight the enemies, just stay in this forest, and then just really take out the enemies pretty easily. I get her healed up there and then just kind of move Seth out of the way again. Then these reinforcements show up, so I just move Erica onto the fort, and she does a pretty good job taking them out. Then she can just take out these soldiers one by one and just make sure she's good. She'll heal up and she gets 1 round.
Is that the second skill luck resistance level up? Erica is getting very mid level ups.
The boss of this chapter, and then we seize. Then into Chapter 2, I just go ahead and move Erica down to attack these brigands, and then Ross and Garcia kind of just do their own thing as green units. I don't recruit them or do anything with them, so I just kind of keep Erica around on the fort and the armory for extra avoid. Then I gotta move like the other units, like kind of mess them around, rescue, and try to get them out of the way so they don't get attacked by the brigands.
Okay, I usually collect the red gem and the elixir on turn 1 with Mulder and Vanessa, respectively. But I get that you want to use Erica.
But Erica can get those two villages pretty good, and then she just finishes off the rest of them. Then going into chapter 3, I just kind of break down this wall. Calm's gonna just do what he wants to do, opening chests and doors, and he'll just kind of like do nothing then towards the end of the chapter. But Erica can pretty much handle the enemies here, and then I just kind of move everybody else out of the way. And then really
Oh,
Erica just
wait.
handles most.
Why did you collect the javelin? You can't use that javelin. You only use the chest key on the angelic robe in chapter 8. What you doing? What you doing? You don't want to get that javelin.
Most of the enemies, or well, all the enemies here, and then she really has no problems. She just kind of heals as needed, and then she kind of takes a couple turns to beat the boss, but she eventually does it, and she reaches
Yes,
level
strength.
12 pretty quick here. Then this chapter 4, is when I first had a game over. Erica just got kind of surrounded by too many enemies. I tried to be a little more careful than on the second playthrough of this chapter. I just gotta kind of make sure Ardor's out of the way. I have no weapon equipped on him, so he will get attacked here later on, but he doesn't like do any damage back to the.
Yeah, that's fine. When I do a solo run of Fire Emblem 8, I am fine with body blocking with other units. At least if like they're force deployed, might as well use what you got. But also, sometimes it's just about impossible to do something without using other units. Um, or just really infuriating. And I think, gaming should be fun. I'm one of those people. Uh, but yeah, it's fine that Arthur got attacked and he didn't do any damage back. Don't feel guilty about it. It's fine.
Enemies, so it's not really a big deal, I don't think. But Erica can hold her own against most of these enemies as long as she stays in forest and heals herself up occasionally. Yeah, here's Ardor getting attacked, but I got him no weapons on him, so he's good. And then Erica just kind of takes out all the enemies. Then as she's making her way down towards the rest of the enemies, as soon as you cross this bridge, I believe it's like a zone base for reinforcements that'll show.
Oh, that's interesting. I usually put Arthur on the bridge because then even if you're like pretty far down, you have plenty of time to attack to get back up. Because it takes the Revenants like 2.5 turns to get to Arthur when that happens, and that's plenty of time for you to get back to help him out.
Show up way up at the northern part of the map, then they're just gonna make their way down, and I'm just getting Ardor out of the way, and then Erica will just take out all of these revenants here. Erica does pretty well in these early chapters as long as she stays in the forest or just any kind of tile that gives her good avoid, and she can just heal up with vulneraries, and really there's not much else to these early maps really. Erica can easily just take out the enemies. Here she gets up to level 16.
Ugh, it's a terrible level up. I'm gonna stop bashing Erica's growth. Erica, I don't know why, but I get so annoyed by her growths because she should be getting more strength and defense than she does. But for some reason, my Ericas always end up with bad strength and mediocre defense at best. And it's just a lot of speed and luck and skill. And why does she always cap out speed and luck and skill? Why can't you put some of those growths on defense?
Already after chapter 4. Now going to chapter 5, I wanted to make sure I get this dragon shield in this house over here, and then I just moved Natasha into the corner off to the side, but she'll get attacked anyway, and there's not really much I can do about that, and she's gonna die, so it doesn't really matter to me. She can't attack.
What? Oh, are you not gonna? I usually recruit Joshua because like he's got the killing edge. Like you want that killing edge. I guess I mean you could say that it goes against the spirit of the run, but I mean if you're gonna use other units for body blocking, why can't you recruit Joshua? I don't know. I think it's better to recruit Joshua and get that killing edge. I like to put Natasha on the village and um not visit it with Natasha because then she gets avoid if it really matters, and then in front of her I put Erica. Because in the end, it really is just a choice between the Dragon Shield and the secret book, which is that one that you see on this frame. The bandit is destroying that village. It has a secret book in it. Um, You really have to choose between that and the Dragon Shield. The Dragon Shield is more important to an Erica run, and just in general. So I like to just put Natasha there so that she's safe, and then just take out the other units, or the other bandits. Because once you accept that you can only get one item, because, Erica only has 5 movement, once you accept that, then there really is no time constraint. There aren't any crazy reinforcements, just bandits that Erica can destroy.
Back enemies, so it's not a big deal, I don't think, for this run. And then Erica's just gonna take out these enemies, staying in the forest as always.
Brigands. Sorry, brigands, not bandits.
Just to make sure that she can survive. The brigands are going to go around and destroy all the other villages, but I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think there's really that many good items in them. And then I'm just gonna, for this map, I'm just going to go around this left side here and just avoid Joshua altogether.
I mean, yeah, if you're not going to recruit Joshua, might as well avoid him.
Because he doesn't move unless you get into his range, and I figure it's best to just avoid him. He has a killing edge, which can be very dangerous. So just like going over Erica as a unit, she's very frail. She has pretty low HP.
Why are you using a slim sword? Iron sword is 5 weight. Erica is not weighed down by an iron sword. Why are you using a slim sword? It just has lower might. I guess it's a little bit of crit, but like, I don't know.
Overall, and very low defenses. However, she's very fast. She's kind of like a Myrmidon. She has a lot of skill and speed, not a lot of strength though, and she already capped in level 20 this early. Next chapter is the Ephraim and his gang chapter. So this is our first look at Ephraim. Here, I just moved Orson, Kyle, and Ford like just as far away from the enemies as possible so they don't get attacked. And this is a very slow chapter. Really, I just try to slowly take out the enemies with Ephraim. He has pretty limited access to like weapons, although I do get these 2 chests because there are good items, an elixir and a killer lance in them. And then I'm just kind of making my way up the map, bringing Orson, Kyle, and Ford along with to act as like storage. Basically, they can hold some weapons and then they'll have to trade over some weapons to give.
I don't know why, but I just kind of hate this chapter, Unbroken Heart, because it's like, maybe the main thing is like you're very limited healing and javelin. I can deal with limited javelins under most circumstances, but you have like 2 vulneraries and 3 elixirs, and I don't like using elixirs this early into the game. It's the 7th chapter, including prologue. I don't know. It annoys me to no end for no real reason.
To Ephraim soon here, but you can see Ephraim's just taking out all the enemies with really no problems as long as he heals up occasionally. Ephraim is just a much better unit than Erica as he has lances and has access to javelins and other better 1 to 2 range weapons, whereas there's really no options for 1 to 2 range with swords that Erica uses. But that chapter was easy enough, just very slow and long. Then the next chapter is back to Erica. I can just have her stay in the mountains there for a good part of the map to take out a lot of the enemies. Then I just kind of try to make my way towards the boss just to end this chapter. This is a defeat boss map, so as soon as you defeat the boss, you can just end the chapter as I do right here. Then
that's interesting. I find that funny because I kind of had a problem with chapter 6 because Erica has a condition called acute lances hurt me a lot disorder, also known as Almald, which is really just, if she sees a lance, she is dead. And there are quite a few lances on that map, between like the soldiers and the calves on turn 4. And then also the mercenaries have good accuracy. I don't know. I guess I'm just bad. The way I did it is different. I put her on the fort and just hoped for good luck. But the knight was a problem. There's a knight with a javelin, and then obviously you'll have to get off the fort to fight the knight with javelin. There also Chapter 6 is the one with the Orion's Bolt. If you defeat it within... ooh, I don't actually know the number of turns, but if you defeat it before the spider kills the Reneus citizen, you get an Orion's Bolt, which is really just 5,000 gold in this game. But like 5,000 is no joke. You will be amassing a lot of money in a solo run, but it's always good to have more. But there is no way you can get the Orion's Bolt in Chapter 6.
The next chapter is another one, easy enough that Erica can just kind of run through and defeat enemies as she goes. Like, obviously the mages and archers are really annoying because they attack her at 2 range and she can't counter at 2 range. But I kind of ignore a lot of them and just kind of make my way towards.
Why are you using the elixir? You don't have to use that elixir. I think if you killed the mages, you'd have a better time. I think you're being a little bit hasty. The elixir can be really useful in Chapter 8 specifically. Like, you're going to get more. Like in Ephraim's inventory, Kyle's inventory, Ford's inventory. But I mean, I just think you're being a little bit too cavalier with your elixir usage.
The boss as fast as possible, because all you have to do here is just kill the boss and then seize the gates, and that's really just easy enough. This next chapter we get Ephraim back, and as well as Kyle and Ford, but I kind of just keep them out of the fighting. But really I just want to kind of get Ephraim and Erica to like kind of join up here so that they can just kind of work together to defeat the enemies. I want to get started building their support. They have a pretty good support. When it finally reaches A rank, they will have +3 attack, +1 defense, +15 hits, +7 avoid, and +15 crit. So overall it's a pretty good support. Not the best, but
watching him steamroll Chapter 8 is very cathartic for me, because in all my solo runs that I've done, Chapter 12 have always been difficult, because the person that I'm soloing as, be it generic Cavalier or Erica, I don't remember the other ones I've done. He always has to get to Ephraim really quickly, because Ephraim can't do anything to defend himself from the Cavalier reinforcements and the initial press of soldiers. But now that he can use Ephraim, it's just a lot more, it's a lot easier. Chapter 8 is kind of difficult for a casual player sometimes, depending on how much he prepared for it. But this is just easy at this point. That's very, what is the word I'm thinking of? Satisfying to spectate.
definitely not bad for the 2 lords in this game. So I just worked the 2 of them up the left side of the map, defeating the enemies along the way, trying to give Ephraim most of the kills, most of the experience, because Erica's already capped out, of course. So then defeating the rest of these enemies is pretty easy. I kind of just bait them out and then finish them off. There are a lot of reinforcements in this map that kind of slow things down, but it's not really too bad. But I just kind of finish them off and get Ephraim experience. Then I have Ephraim kill the boss. He really has no trouble with that, and Ephraim...
I'm using the Kill Ants. I noticed the Regin Leaf only has 3 uses left. That's a bit too much Regin Leaf usage. You've had Regin Leaf overdose, but I am diagnosing you Regin Leaf overdose, and your prescription is less Regin Leaf usage.
Ephraim is capped as well now, even before the route split.
See, that's what happens when you use the chest keys too recklessly. You can't get that angelic robe. There's an angelic robe on this map, and if you don't know, angelic robe increases your HP by 7. That's a big, especially for Erica, and you need to get that on any solo run that you do of Fire Emblem 8. But because you use it to get the Javelin in Chapter 3, you can't get the angelic robe here in Chapter 8.
Both of the lords are capped. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Ephraim. This might seem strange because
it costs a chest key. You have very limited chest keys. and he used it on chapter 3 instead of chapter 8.
Ephraim does have the more challenging route. However, like I said before, he is the better unit overall. Erica's route, I actually did try to go to Erica's route first. However, I ended up getting stuck in chapter 12. Erica's biggest weakness is her lack of 1 to 2 range, which is Ephraim's greatest strength. When you're soloing entire maps, access to 1 to 2 range is incredibly important. Specifically in chapter 12 of Erica's route, there's a lot of gargoyles and they have javelins or just 2 range weapons, and she just gets overwhelmed, and even staying in forest tiles, she just still gets overwhelmed by those gargoyles and they end up taking her out. So I gave up on Erica's route and just went over to Ephraim's route, and Ephraim's route is very challenging.
Okay, that's okay reasoning. I have beaten Erica's route on chapter 12, or I've defeated chapter 12 on Erica's route because I beat the whole game on Erica's route. Here's the thing though. I think I should have gone with Ephraim anyway, and here's what it is. What you have to take into account is chapter 15, because chapter 15 can be pretty challenging if you didn't get lucky with level ups. Now, the positions of your units in chapter 15 depends on which route you take. If you went with Ephraim route, you're going to start with all your units on the bottom left of the map. If you went with Erica route, all your units are going to start at Johanna Hall in the top of the map. Now, if you go with Erica route, chances are you might have to save Ephraim. That's what it is in all the normal solo runs. You will have to save Ephraim quickly. But if you go, since we're doing both the lords, if you go Ephraim's route, you'll have to save Erica, and either way, you will have to go through a lot of sand, and it'll take a while. But the thing is, if you're alright with rolling the dice a little bit, Erica can just sit on Johanna Hall, because it gives 40 avoid and 2 defense, and just unequip her weapons, or maybe not, I don't know, it depends on your playstyle, but, and she can be fine. She will dodge, because, she's got the speed and the luck to dodge a lot. But if you go with Erica route, you might have a problem with Ephraim's mediocre. It's okay. His durability, his survivability. So I think it's better to go Ephraim route. If you're good at the game, you can do either one just fine. Because I believe the way I did chapter 12 on Erica route was I used a Lance Reaver, because Lance Reavers are actually okay in Fire Emblem 8 as opposed to Fire Emblem 6. So yeah, I think it's alright to do either one.
It is easier because of just how Ephraim can solo these maps much easier. As we see in this map, Ephraim really didn't have any problems aside from that sleep staff. Other than that though, he really had no problems. Now going into chapter 10, this chapter is pretty easy because all you really have to do is fight off the initial enemies here, and then Dusel and his group will take out a lot of other enemies and also attract their attention. I don't really concern myself with the villages in this chapter. The biggest probably threat in this map is Cormag.
Again, I think you can recruit him just fine. Grab his killer lance and the illusion whip, which you can sell, or I guess you could just get it from killing him. You can recruit him, grab his killer lance, and just move on with your life.
Cormag had quite a high crit rate against Ephraim. However, we take him out easy enough though. Luckily I did not get crit by Cormag, otherwise that would have made this chapter a lot harder. We also only face a lot of sword and lance enemies. Dusel takes on most of the axe enemies in this map, and also this map is just a survive. Then next came the Phantom Ship chapter. This is a very tough chapter, as you saw in the little death compilation I put in the beginning there. Ephraim, there's just a lot of enemies in this chapter, and the Fog of War also just adds to the difficulty of this chapter. We do get a...
What are you doing? Okay, so he's not wrong. Phantom Ship is difficult in basically anything. I uploaded a video in the past of me playing Phantom Ship, but I got really lucky that I didn't die at all in that run of the game. Here's the thing, there are a lot of enemies. Just look at the map of the game and you will see a whole lot of enemies. And that can be difficult, but the thing is, you don't have to take them all at once, because there's a little chokehold. You see down at the bottom by the progress bar of the video, there's that one little one-tile choke point. And if you sit there, you can take them a bit more slowly. Not entirely more slowly, because the enemies will move across the other bridge to just attack him from there, because this is a solo run. You're not going to have Ephraim, Dusel, and Seth. But you can still take them at least a bit more slowly. It will buy you enough time to use an elixir, and let you kill a little bit more enemies. And also, if I were you, I would bring a torch.
This chapter, and the fog of war also just adds to the difficulty of this chapter. We do get a little help from La Rochelle and her gang, or well, just Dazla, but the biggest challenge of this map was just not taking on too many enemies in one turn. That way I could heal with an elixir every turn really, and just take out enemies on enemy phase. And that's really what Ephraim does best, because of his access to javelins, 1 to 2 range weapons. He can just take out enemies on enemy phase. And it's very important that a character or a unit can do that if they're going to be soloing an entire map or an entire game.
That's true. There's a reason that I don't like to... There's a reason that even though I really like Amy in this game, I have never did a solo run with her. If I ever do, I would probably give her support partners or something. Or maybe I would do that one thing that a lot of ROM hacks do, where I make short bows have one range. I don't know.
Then the next chapter, this one isn't that difficult as long as I take it slow and not get overwhelmed by enemies. This chapter lacks a lot of defensive terrain, making me much more vulnerable to taking hits, meaning that I'll have to heal more often, and which is another thing about this run. My only options for healing are vulneraries, elixirs, and healing tiles like forts and gates. But there are just a lot of enemies in this map, lots of reinforcements that'll really come after you, and really I just had to kind of move around, making sure I don't get attacked by too many enemies in the same turn. So as this is going on, I guess I'll talk a little.
Yeah, the biggest threats to Ephraim are, I would say, probably maybe not the shamans, but the mages, the mouth dupes, and perhaps the mercenaries, because of their high hit rate. And then if you get unlucky, the spiders, the bales, can do some damage as well. Like he says, it really is just a game of positioning, where you want to make sure you're only in range of a couple enemies, and don't get too cocky.
Little bit about what stuff I cut out. I just cut out all of the world map movements, going around from shops, buying equipment and whatnot. I just cut all that out. Really didn't think it was important to keep or to show in the run at all. And you also see there's a lot of times I'll cut out just when I'm in the maps where I'm going into my convoy and just getting items out and stuff. I'll be cutting out a lot of that as well. Also, I don't know why, but I played with this run with animations on, and I just ended up cutting out all the animations except...
No, that's fair. That's fair. Animations are cool. Animations are nice. I always play with animations regardless of what I do with them. Maybe we don't want to see animations, but if you absolutely do, then it's completely good for you to watch the animations, because animations in FE8 are awesome.
For a few boss fights here and there, but we finally make our way up to the boss here, and the boss is just a Cyclops, and he kind of goes down really pretty easily enough, no problems really. Alright, this next map was pretty tough. It only took me one try, but I had to be cautious here, really take my time. Garrick and Tethys, I just kind of put all their inventory into the convoy, and then
Yeah, okay, so if I were you, I'd put Ephraim go down the left side, because Garrick and Tethys, they're dead. There's nothing you can do to save them. Um, but I think that if you had Ephraim kill the enemies on the left side of the map, that would be okay. Garrick and Tethys probably would be able to make it to Ephraim to put their inventories in the supply on time. I'd have to check that. I would have to play Fluor Spar's Oath to see if that is the case. But you know what? I wouldn't mind because I love Fluor Spar's Oath. It is like a top 3 map in this game.
I just kind of let them, just hang out, and they'll both just get taken out by the enemies. There's, nothing I can do about that since they are forced kind of deployed on this map. But one thing about this map is that it is a kind of like introduction to Ephraim's biggest weakness, and that is his resistance stat and just his vulnerability to magic attacks and like status staves. He can do a good job at fighting these, physical enemies, but then eventually we're gonna have to approach Selena here, and she has a bolting tone. So we have to get Ephraim at least onto a forest here to at least give him some extra avoid so that hopefully he can dodge the bolting, and this troubadour has a sleep staff. I do make
Ooh, okay, so if you're wondering why he used a pure water there, it's because Selena's bolting, obviously. But also, there's a thing about these status saves in Fire Emblem 6, 7, and 8. They're actually based off your resistance. So, if that troubadour attacks Ephraim with the sleep staff, the percentage chance that she will hit with the sleep staff is actually not based on her skill and Ephraim's avoid. It's in fact based off of her magic, I think, and Ephraim's resistance. And it's also 1 RN, so if it displays 33% chance to hit, it is actually a 33% chance to hit, unlike with normal attacks. So if you use the pure water, that's +7 resistance, and it's a better chance to dodge the sleep staff.
good use of pure waters in this run, as that's really all I can do. So a lot of times I just really have to sit and wait for enemies, a lot of siege weapons, but once that's all over, I can start to move in and clear out more of these enemies. This map is a route chapter, which is rather annoying because it would be so much easier if I could just go and defeat Selena. Defeat boss chapters and seize and survive chapters are so much better than route chapters, and especially since I'm capped out already. So like that's the
Well, that's true for your purposes, but the thing is, if, like, in a casual run, if this was a kill boss map, then you really just have Tana go in, or maybe Cormac, or maybe both, and like two-turn the map. It would be way too easy, especially since this is chapter 13. Uh, I just think it would be a little bit boring. There's so much that this map has to offer that can just be skipped if it was a kill boss map. Maybe it would be more interesting if it was survive, but at that point, it would really just be a route. Because I don't know.
thing. Ephraim capped out so early that having to do routes is just so unnecessary. And again in this chapter, I just had to ignore the villages, let them get destroyed. Not much I could have done about that using just Ephraim. But this chapter will be over soon enough, just one more enemy. Now we're at chapter 14, where we finally enter Grado Keep and confront.
I hate this map. This is the one reason I prefer Erica. One reason I prefer Erica route to Ephraim route in general is because this map, uh, all the status saves, I always forget to buy restore saves to get rid of Berserk and Sleep. So when you add Berserk saves with Sleep saves and time sensitive objective with the name of Renak, it adds a lot of weird challenge that seems really unfair because of all the RNG that is involved. Um, and that is why I never want to do an Iron Man of Ephraim route in Fire Emblem.
Emperor Vigard. This chapter was really not that hard, though it did take me 2 tries. The problem with this chapter is that really early on this first half of the map, there are a lot of reinforcements and Ephraim can just get surrounded, really overwhelmed. Then once you get closer to these doors up here, there is a sleep and a berserk staff both on both sides. So there's 2 sleep staves and 2 berserk staves in total in this map. And Ephraim just gets berserked here early on. However,
Oh man, he was unable to get the angelic robe because he was berserked. You see what I'm saying? It's really just annoying more than anything. I think it's kind of artificial difficulty, you know, where it's like, it's difficult not because you were bad or the game was, that skilled, but it's difficult because there's something really annoying going on, That's why I don't like the Great Bridge or Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, the bridge level where there are the pitfalls that you don't know where they are and they just stop you, and it's super annoying because you don't know where they are. It's artificial difficulty and it's not fun.
luckily enough, he doesn't get himself killed, and he also does a pretty good job of dodging the sleep staves. Then I go ahead and enter this room with the chest here because I want to get some of this treasure. There's a lot of gold, and then as soon as you open that, the shamans will spawn. There's quite a bit of them, but Ephraim can handle them pretty well as long as he heals and uses pure waters. Then we'll go around to the other side here and really just want to take out as many enemies here, these knights that are guarding the door, as well as try to take out these snipers and archers with longbows.
Could you tell me why? Because, I mean, that's kind of useless. Now that Renak has stolen all the stuff except for in that room, you can really just go to the guard, kill him. Because it's not like the knights on the other side of the door are going to start attacking you.
That are really annoying. Ephraim gets berserk yet again, and I'm just kind of just soaking up this berserk and sleep staff, and then I'll go around to the other side again to the room and take out that final longbow archer, get rid of this berserk staff, and then I'll finally open this door, and as soon as I do, all of these mages and shamans are going to come after me, and Ephraim can't handle all of them.
That looks so much like a Kaga era, like of oppressive soldiers. I'm already getting PTSD from Fire Emblem 4.
At
Sorry.
least not all at once. So all I had to do here is really just kind of retreat a little bit each turn so that I can take out just a couple, just like 1, 2, or 3 of them each turn until finally I can just kind of, boost my resistance with pure waters and I can just kind of take the rest of them out. Then finally there's one room left which also spawns some reinforcements as soon as you open it. But these guys are easy enough as I can take them out, and then I just pull these druids one at a time because if they would both attack Ephraim, he would get killed. Then I just take care of those priests and then get ready for a very slow fight with Vigard as I am running out of weapons.
Not Pavis. Okay. Oh, you know what? He's gonna mention it in a second. Hold on.
My Regan Leaf breaks, and then I resort to using a Killer Lance, which misses a lot. This guy also likes to proc his Great Shield skill, which negates damage and also makes like a weapon usage run out. So
Okay. Great Shield. It is super useful on enemies, terrible on your units, because the only generals in this game are Gilliam and Amelia. The way it works is every time the opponent attacks you, you have a percentage chance to not take any damage. That's all. But the thing is, the percentage chance is based on the level of your opponent. Not you, your opponent. Now, this means that every time Ephraim attacks Vigard, Vigard has a 20% chance to just not take any damage because Ephraim is level 20. And that's ridiculous if you ask me, because like again, it's just luck. There's too much luck in at least this game, I'd say there's even more in games after Fire Emblem 8, which is like 23 years of history. They haven't fixed that yet. I prefer games that prioritize skill over luck because then when you do something, you did that thing, not you got lucky. You know, in is it Three Houses where there's the dragon with Miracle, right? When you defeat that dragon, that means you got lucky and the dragon just didn't proc Miracle. But in, I don't know, Fire Emblem 4, when you defeat Julius, you defeated Julius because you're the one who trained up Julia and took the time to train up Julia, and you're the one who got the Book of Naga and made sure, all your units could chip in for the final battle. Fire Emblem is a strategy game. It should not have to be a luck-based game because it is supposed to be you doing those things. Imagine if, I don't know, Metroid had that kind of luck in it. Imagine if the amount of damage you did with your blaster was just luck based, like in Pokemon. It would be ridiculous, especially for like bosses. Or like I, there's less strategy and tact involved when a lot of things or everything is based on luck because then you just have to hope for luck. That's not fun for most people. It doesn't lead to an enjoyable experience for most people. And it doesn't make any sense. Why can't Fire Emblem 18 just have, which isn't out yet, obviously. Why doesn't Fire Emblem 18 just have something that's more skill based like the older games and also Shadows of Valentia?
So it's even more annoying in that way. However, right before I'm about to completely run out of weapons though, Ephraim finally finishes them all. And then we can seize, and that is Ephraim's route completed. Then in chapter 15 here, you'll see in this little death compilation that I failed twice, I believe, because this chapter actually turned out to be pretty tough. There are a lot of enemies in this chapter that are
Okay, yeah, he is putting Erica on Johanna Hall. This is the map I was talking about. This is chapter 15 that could pose a threat, maybe a roadblock, but he is doing the right thing and putting Erica on Johanna
kind
Hall.
of split up between Erica's group and Ephraim's group. Although since I'm only using Erica and Ephraim, that leaves like a lot of enemies that each of them will have to deal with. So I really start out by just getting rid of Erica's weapons and just giving them to, I think, Innes, and then I just discard Innes's bow and Sala's magic so that they don't damage any enemies. Then they kind of just die. But what was really important in this chapter was to get rid of Erica's weapons and put her on that gate, because as you can see on that gate, she's just getting attacked by 1 or 2 enemies each turn. This was really the key to her survival on this chapter, even though in the death compilation saw Ephraim was the one dying. Still though, Erica would most certainly have died if she had a weapon and was fighting these enemies and killing them, because of the fact that she wasn't facing like 0% hit rates or anything like that. These enemies had a chance, especially the mages, had a chance to like hit her, and if she got attacked too much and like killed too many enemies, then they would have definitely overwhelmed her and just wore her out in like one enemy phase. So Ephraim can take out his side of the enemies easily enough. This isn't where he was like dying in those previous attempts. It takes quite a while to take out Walter, and Walter actually procced Pierce, and that almost was enough to kill Ephraim, but not.
If you aren't aware, Pierce is something that procs based on your level. And if you proc Pierce, it's basically just Luna, whereas your attack, it does the amount of damage, so it's just, it disregards your opponent's defense stat. So it's, if you have 16 strength and you are carrying an iron lance, your attack might is 23. Now if you proc Pierce, you are going to do 23 damage, even though, like, even if your opponent has like 24 defense, You proc Pierce, you're going to do 23 damage. This is interesting, what he's doing here, because the way I usually did it, um, it the way I would do it if I ever did an Ephraim solo run, which I'm not going to, but if I would do it, I would probably not attack any of the enemies on the bottom side of the map, because every map in Fire and Weight, and also 7 and 6, has a maximum of 50 units, enemy units at one time. And I don't know for sure, but I think considering all the Pegasus reinforcements, you would probably hit that enemy cap pretty quickly. And so if you just ran Ephraim to Johanna Hall as quickly as possible, there would be the maximum units, and you wouldn't have to deal with as many reinforcements, because once you go through those turns, the reinforcements are not going to show up, um, even on their designated turns. So I think it would be better to go through the desert immediately. But that's just me.
Not quite. And then here we're just kind of slowly pulling some of these enemies away from Erica into Ephraim's attack range so that he can take them out one at a time, really.
And not having those reinforcements is important, because there's especially one press of soldiers reinforcements. There's like 8 cavaliers and 2 paladins, which is kind of significant, at least for in general, in casual playthroughs. If you don't want to use Dusel, if you don't want to use Dusel or Seth, and don't have Reginleaf or Rapier, or Zanbato, or Halberd, then that could be a problem.
Or 1 or 2 at a time, but we definitely don't want Ephraim to take too many hits in one enemy turn. But here you can see they go down pretty quickly once Ephraim starts to come up, and then now we can have Erica and Ephraim join back up together again. And then what I do here is just kind of work my way around the map. I try to get some of the hidden items. I get the boots, and then we take out this Berserker, and I think I get Menace's Tome, and I go ahead and use the boots.
Menace's Tome is great. Thank you for remembering that, because that's one of the most important items in any solo run, but especially Erica and F. Actually, maybe not any solo run. Usually at this point you're at like level 18, 19. But it's good that you have Menace's Tome, because if you don't know, the Menace's Tome is the one where it increases your growths by 5%, all of them by 5%, and that just means that you'll be getting stats on level ups more often. Since neither of your units are promoted, it's great they have Menace's Tome. I would put on Erica if I were you.
On Ephraim, and I think I used the Menace's Tome on Erica. Then
Yes.
I go ahead and raise their support one more level, then out to that B rank. And then one more hidden item I get down here is the body ring that I believe I give to Erica. I think, yeah, she's gonna go ahead and use.
That's a big one as well. The body ring is the one that increases your constitution by 2. If you don't know, it's basically just every unit, or every weapon has a certain stat that is called weight, and if the weight of the weapon is greater than the constitution of your unit, then your unit is going to receive a speed and skill penalty. Pretty sure it's skill as well. Definitely speed. So you'll have less attack speed, less dodge, and if it's skill, then less hit. So the body ring increasing constitution by 2 is effectively increasing speed by 2 when you're using heavier swords. So that's good, because Erica will need some of those heavier swords in later part of the runs, because not a lot of strength.
Use that, and then all we really gotta do left in this map is slowly take out these enemies, carefully take them out that are surrounding Kellic, and then once it's just Kellic left, I just send Erica to deal with him, really, because he uses an axe, so Erica can have the better chance of defeating him, and she does. Now get ready for the longest death compilation of the run.
Oh, here we go. Chapter 16. Another one of my favorites. This is going to be fun, because I can already think of a lot of things that could go wrong in a cell run in chapter 16 specifically.
Was chapter 16, which really isn't that difficult of a chapter casually, but for this run,
That's not true. It is a difficult chapter casually because it represents a difficulty spike. Chapter 16 is the beginning of the late game, because this is where you're going to be starting to see a lot of moated enemies, a lot of siege tomes, and even more staves, which is weird because how did they not learn their lesson from Fire Emblem 6?
It was hell. So what makes this chapter so difficult? Well, later on there's going to be specifically 2 reinforcements. There's going to be 2 sages. One of them has a purge tome and the other has a sleep staff. So what happens is one of the 2, Erica or Ephraim, will get put to sleep, and then the purge guy comes in and like deals like half of their health down, and then
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure those sages do not appear if you do Erica route.
and other enemies will just come in and pick them off and kill them. So what I had to do is just kind of take my time. Early on in the map here, there are a lot of enemies that I can just kind of take my time and defeat. However, there's this berserk priest there that I just defeat before he can, berserk me, which is nice. Then here we're just gonna really take our time, heal ourselves up, make sure we're prepared because these guys are zone-based reinforcements. As soon as we cross a line that's like 4 spaces up here and like approach Orson's throne room, it's gonna spawn the reinforcements. If Ephraim would...
That's cool. It's good that you remember to get the talisman. There's a talisman chest on the left of the map, and the thief will get it quick. So it's good that you knew how the AI worked and killed the thief as he was going away. That's not generally how his AI works. For some reason, I don't know why he did that. Uh, not sure what that's all about, but it's good they got the talisman for Ephraim because, like you mentioned earlier, he doesn't have a lot of resistance.
Go any further would trigger the reinforcements. Okay, so we're gonna trigger the reinforcements here. We're gonna just go for it. And this also causes a lot of enemies to move as well. Then here we're just gonna see what there's those 2 sages. We're checking their ranges here and we're just gonna kind of retreat. Erica comes pretty close to dying here fighting these mercenaries and this warrior. And there you can see she almost died. It really just took a lot of luck here that I dodged the sleep staff and the purge tomes, and yeah, it just took a lot of luck. There's also just reinforcements that come at you from
How's that 70%? Oh, they are sages, aren't they?
the south as well that make things just so much more difficult. So I just want to retreat here, use some pure waters, get onto these pillars because that's really the only defensive terrain in this entire map. I've tried a lot of different things, but really it just comes down to luck. I can finally destroy that purge guy and then just pick off the rest of these enemies. Erica does get put to sleep, but at this point it's fine. And now finally we got rid of these guys and we can take out the rest of these enemies. Luckily those druids did not attack Ephraim at like 2 range with their like Nosferatus. Luckily they stuck to their Eclipse stones because otherwise if they just ganged up on him with the Nosferatus he would have easily died. Orson's...
Even in difficult mode, druids are kind of dumb. Eclipse is such a bad tome. It has like 30%. No, it's not even 30. It's like 10% hit, and if it hits you, your HP is halved. Actually, no, it's 10% in Fire Emblem 6 because in Fire Emblem 6 it brings down to 1 HP, but it's 30% in this game because it only halves your HP.
pretty tough boss. I try to
And it kills you if you're on 1 HP.
use Erica, but she's not really doing much, so I just gotta get lucky with Ephraim, and luckily he gets a crit here to kill Orson. And
that's the power of supports. Light affinity. Such a good affinity. Light and fire are my 2 favorites.
And finally that chapter is over. That one was tough. Then finally after this chapter, Ephraim and Erica both promote. They get really good stat bonuses from their promotions. This was probably the biggest challenge of the run, was just how Ephraim and Erica's promotions are locked behind story progression. Now you'll see after they promote, things go much more smoothly. And then in this chapter, I really just have to take my time. There's a lot of enemies in this chapter, and also the green units all just kind of get killed. Not much I can do about that. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's fine, because if they all live, you get a rescue staff, but that's whatever, because it's just staff.
matter anyway. But then what we're going to do here is just wait out a lot of these enemies. We're going to put Ephraim and Erica in these mountains just so they have the best possible avoidance, and then slowly but surely they will take out all the enemies. Lots of reinforcements and enemies in this map, and then unfortunately
That's weird. The way I usually do it in any run whatsoever is I just go up through the peninsula, or it's not a peninsula, through the little thing that the river folk are on, and just bum rush Leon, because if uh, if you're not fast, there will be a lot of druids that show up, and I mean, yeah, I know you're on mountains, but like the druids are no joke. Like both your units have like Erica has like 17 res, Ephraim has only 10. That's not a lot. The druids can do some damage to Ephraim if you aren't careful, because if a lot of them show up at once, they can do a lot of damage to you. And also it just takes a lot more time. you know, you don't want to be playing 17 forever.
Erica, even after promotion, is still only a sword unit, so she cannot counter magic users at 2 range and just anything really at 2 range, which is quite troublesome. So really all I can do on this
It is a crime that Erica did not get another another weapon rank. If I made the game, I would give Erica staff weapon rank, like D or C staffs, and then I would give Ephraim D or C axes.
map is just wait out all these enemies and just kill them all, which really isn't a bad thing though, because I am getting experience now once again now that they're promoted. But once that side is all taken care of, all that on the left side, then we can finally make our way towards Leon. And then, but first we're just going to kill all the enemies though, just for that experience. And then there's also going to be some war reinforcements here that will get lots of experience from. I believe Erica and Ephraim both are going to end this chapter at level 8. Now we can finally take on Leon. Really, he's not a problem at all. He's not that tough of a boss. He does have a lot of defense, but otherwise he's quite an easy boss. Ephraim just gonna to crit him here and just take care of him pretty easily. Ephraim reaches a level 8. Next is this volcano map. It's a nice little monster den here, specifically like a gorgon nest, because that's really the gimmick of this map, is these monster eggs that you're seeing. The gimmick is that they recover like 5 hit points on each turn, and then once it reaches like full 100%, they hatch into gorgons. So the strategy for this chapter is just to try to take out these eggs as fast as possible before they can all hatch. However, the problem is that I only have Erica and Ephraim, only 2 units, to try to take out like all these eggs. So what ends up happening is that a lot of them are going to hatch, and there's really nothing I can do about it. And especially the problem is with Erica's lack of 2 range, these gorgons are just going to prioritize her as well as the moguls, and these gorgons are also troublesome in that they have this 3 range stone spell that can turn you to stone. Luckily though, the hit rate is pretty bad on that, and I don't end up getting turned to stone at all. They also have Shadow Shot, which is a 3 to 10 range spell that can really be annoying, but this...
Yeah, I think the main problem with the Gorgons is just stone. If you get hit by a stone, you're dead in a solo run. I think Demon Surge and Shadow Shot are really just attacks that generally won't be a huge problem, as long as you take your time and don't get attacked by too many at once. Chapter 18 is generally pretty hard in most of the solo runs I've done. I can probably count on one hand the amount of solo runs that I did not have much of a problem with. Like, the one that comes to mind is Vanessa. Like, that was the Vanessa, Tana, Amelia I did with the Paladin, so it's alright. A1 was alright, because I made him a druid. And that was kind of it. That's only 4 that didn't have any problems with Chapter 18, because Stone is hard. Shadow Shot can be alright. I mean, it can do some decent damage to you if it hits, but it is 2 RN, so it probably will not hit. Even Joshua, he could have had a harder time because he had Automa. I don't know. I just think Chapter 18 is difficult for some people, easy for other people. I think Erica does pretty well on this map. Ephraim does not.
This chapter really not that hard though, it's just kind of slow, tedious. It's a route map which I don't like. Next, chapter 19 is the chapter where we have to defend Ralston Castle from Reeve and his army.
Don't deploy Erica on this map. Every single time I play Fire Emblem 8, if I'm using Ephraim, I'm going to deploy only Ephraim because basically no matter the growth he got, he will be able to solo this map, no problem. If you just rescue Monsol and stand on the throne, he will have no problem avoiding, defending, and attacking.
Army of Grado soldiers,
And he'll get like 18 levels from this one map.
like remnants or something. So we just have to survive for 13 turns for this map. As you saw early on, I just rescued Mansell because we have to defend Mansell and the throne. So what I do is rescue Mansell with Ephraim, put Ephraim on the throne, and then I can just have Erica around within the support range of Ephraim. And early on, you saw all the green units just get killed, which kind of helps because they just kind of attract the enemies for at least the first few, like 4 or 5 turns. There are treasures in this map, but obviously I'm not going to be getting them at all. There are enemy thieves that will take them from me, but really all this chapter is just guarding the throne. This was like my first idea to beat this chapter, and probably the best idea, because there was no way that Erica and Ephraim could really leave the area of the throne and trust that Mansell would survive. So there's just a lot of enemies in this map, lots of reinforcements, and the two of them are just kind of getting surrounded and just kind of defeating enemies as they come. Of course, a lot of archers, a lot of mages, a lot of 2-range weapons in general. Erica just gets stuck not really being able to do anything on like enemy phase, but this chapter is over soon enough. Chapter 20, like many of the other maps, is gonna have a lot of enemies, a lot of reinforcements, but it is a seize map. So all we have to do is defeat the boss and then seize the gate. So
That's much easier said than done. Chapter 20 in general is not like terribly difficult, but there are a lot of enemies that we can come for you. A lot of them use axes or magic. So Ephraim is not a cure-all solution here. And Erica, I mean, her strength is not really high enough to deal with the Cyclops very much. Well, there are like 6 of them. And Ephraim will kind of need an Axe Reaver to deal with them. So yeah, Chapter 20 is generally like not the easiest, and they can't go over the mountains if I remember correctly. Well, Ephraim can because he has the boots, but Erica cannot because she's on a horse. Um, so it's going to be a bit difficult. I mean,
try to take the shortest route possible to get to the boss and the gate, which ends up being pretty easy. There are a lot of enemies with 1 to 2 range weapons that obviously causes problems for Erica, although once I make it past these mountains here, I can start to make some real progress.
wait, they can go over the mountains? Why can Erica go over the mountains? This isn't FE4. Horses aren't supposed to go over mountains. What is this?
You know, I move Ephraim way up into the map here and attract Reeve, and then we're just going to go ahead and finish off Reeve here. He's not really a tough boss.
Sorry, could you work on your wording there? Did you say you attracted Reeve? Okay.
Ephraim reaches level 17, and I believe Erica will also reach level 17. But then we kind of get surrounded here. You know, Erica just can't do anything against these guys with 2 range. They just love to go after her, and we just can't really do much. Although we do make a little bit of progress each turn. These moguls that come out as reinforcements are really annoying. There, Erica reaches her level 17. The boss is really not a problem.
Here's something for Erica. I generally use, actually it's both of them. I use Vidofnir and Adolma. You wouldn't immediately tell why, you would want to use the other S rank legendary weapons on Erica and Ephraim on this map. But the thing is, um, Onulma gives +5 resistance, and I believe Vidolfnir gives +5 luck, but it might also be resistance. I forgot. Um, so that can deal with dodging on Ephraim and dealing with the eyes and the shadow shot specifically, because there's a shadow shot guy on the left that you can't deal with. It will help with that, and also, like, what else are you going to use the two legendary weapons for? Might as well use them for their passive stats, at least with Erica and her one range problem.
England as being effective against monsters, takes this guy out in one round of combat. And then all Ephraim has to do is seize. Ephraim has to seize since I had to go with his route. Erica can't seize. Now we're finally into the final chapter. This first part of the final chapter is really kind of easy. We just really have these struggles, like always, that the enemies with 1 to 2 range will always like to go after her.
Yeah, that's why you want to go. At least in general, you'd probably want to go with the left route, because if you go to the left instead of the right, there will be gargoyles that show up. I'm pretty sure. I might have it backwards. Um, but if you go left or the right, it's either gargoyles or crimson eyes. Nope, that's the attack. Arch Moguls is the class. And so it will be depending on what you're soloing with, it will be either easier or harder to go with the right route. And also, if you go up the right route, there will be Gwilgis, or I guess it'd be Gwilgi. And then if you go up nope, Gwilgi are on the left, Arch or Elder Bales are on the right. So there's a little bit more strategy involved in chapter 21 than you might see, but unless you want to go up the middle to fight Leon, it's generally pretty easy. If you want to go up the middle, that's not a good idea, because they're Killing Edge Bone Walkers, or they're not Bone Walkers. Killing Edge. I don't remember what the promoted version is called. Those guy skeleton dudes, and there are a lot of them. If you go up the middle, so that's not a good idea ever. You want to go around, kill the Elder Bales, and or the Gwilgi.
But really, we're just kind of trying to cut a path up to Leon here, because all we have to do here is defeat Leon, and then
No, don't go like that, because there are going to be so many of them. And even like the Gorgons, you want to go around and take the Gorgons one by one.
First part of the final chapter will be over. So really, we're just kind of setting ourselves up here. Ephraim reaches level 19, and I believe Erica is also going to reach level 19, or maybe she did already. There she is. Yeah, level 19. That's basically going to be their final levels then for the run. But Leon goes down pretty easily. All it takes is one round of combat from Erica, and then Ephraim can go.
That's a lot harder when you're doing solo run. But yeah.
Go ahead and finish it in one round of combat. So easy enough there. Now we'll go ahead and show off the final stats here, as well as the Demon Kings. And all I really have to do here is just surround the Demon King here. He's going to spend his first turn to summon some monsters. Here is just...
Wait, do you not attack on turn 1? Why did you not attack on turn 1? You always want to attack on turn 1, because Foe Mortis is never going to attack on turn 1 on enemy phase. Always going to summon those monsters. So you want to attack no matter what challenge run or what like vanilla run you're doing. You always want to attack on turn 1.
Surround the Demon King here. He's going to spend his first turn to summon some monsters, but they're not really a problem since they don't move that same turn. And the Demon King is kind of a sad boss. Okay. He's pretty weak because Erica and Ephraim can just gang up here and like 2-round him. And that's the run. It is definitely possible to beat Sacred Stones using only Ephraim and Erica. So if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe.
Okay, that was a mixed bag, really. That was 871 with Ephraim and 548 with, and Ephraim got like 11 more deaths than Erica. Anyway, I guess that's because he went Ephraim route, didn't he? But that was a mixed bag. He did some things right, some things wrong. Um, I'm sorry I could not give as much advice as I thought I could. I know the early game of FE8 incredibly well. I don't know Ephraim route as well because I always go Erica. Um, I probably would have been able to give a lot more advice if he had gone Erica route. But there's still room for improvement, as there always is with any Fire Emblem player. Um, he didn't always position correctly, especially at the end when he attacked with all those Bonewalker promoted guys. That gave me a heart attack for a second there. But he dealt with some of the more challenging maps pretty well, especially chapter 14. I was pretty scared when he got to chapter 14, but he did. He remained calm and dealt with it as well as he could, and he did pretty well. But the main thing, Regin Leaf overdose. Don't do that. You gotta use Regin Leaf sparingly. But yeah, that was good. I hope you enjoyed his Iron Man. Please go check out his video and his channel if you want more content like his. And go give him a like on this video.